barring a miracle for Waterford at this stage. And we're not talking about loaves and fishes, we're talking about goals and points. Back out it comes here to Ger Aylward. Right on the sideline. Has a crack, has a go. Settled his feet brilliantly and pinged it over the bar, and he's got a fourth. And that's Kilkenny's fourth point from play now, without reply. And Waterford's challenge has just begun to fizzle out a little. Shane Fives from that puck out. They're going for goals at this stage. They'll try to land it in the square there, inside towards Maurice Shanahan. Shanahan trying to hand pass it back here. Michael Welch trying to break through, and the high challenge this time by Joey Holden on him, but he was outside the large rectangle. Free from 20 metres. Yellow card for Joey Holden. I think it's just the second yellow card issued in the game.
Yeah, well, that's obviously what else would a full-back do, Ger. He's not going to, at this stage, 6 points up, 7 points up, you know, you're not going to give away a goal-scoring chance. And Joey Holden there picking up the yellow card. Maurice Shannon maybe tempted maybe to go for a goal from this one.
Well, he has to, hasn't he? 10 minutes since Waterford scored. 4 minutes to go. They're behind by 7, and he puts it over the bar. Bit of an anticlimax. 9 points for Maurice Shanahan. They all look a little bit weary now at this stage in the blue and white of Waterford. That's a yellow card, as we mentioned, for Joey Holden. And John Power comes on for Kilkenny, number 22, and he replaces Walter Welch.
And this is the problem now, Ger, for the Waterford defence. John Power, you know, he'll be hoping to play well in the last 4 or 5 minutes here and stake a claim for the full forward position, maybe for our corner forward for the All-Ireland final. Did well there last year, and you know, he'll up the ante a little bit now for Kilkenny.
But straight away it's Waterford who win that first ball that comes down. Shane Fives out here as far as Michael Brick Welch, captain in 2008 when Waterford, of course, reached the All-Ireland final, only to be beaten that year by Kilkenny. And it's a long, long time since his county was beaten by the Dacia in a championship match. You've got to go back to the All-Ireland final replay of 1959. And he looks like he's decided it's one of those days. Not going to happen for our team. 3 minutes to go.
Well, I think if you had asked the Waterford supporters, you know, they'll win the league and they'll get to the semi-final and they'll do well against Kilkenny, would they have taken that? I know that they're not happy when you're beaten, but I think that will be, you know, we're not talking about success here, but we're talking about advancement and a bit of learning, and I think that Waterford will be happy enough for that.
That was a great catch and a brave catch by Stephen O'Keefe. Kilkenny want to play on, but the goalkeeper is clearly injured. Came out and showed courage that time to collect that one. Let's watch it again here. All eyes on the ball here, and Richie Hogan thundered into him in there to challenge. They're not going to stand back. They may be goalkeepers, but they're going to be challenged for possession.
Well, Ger, if you look at that closer, you see that Shane Fives gave Richie a little push there, like, which you know, pushed on momentum onto him. So the collision was a little bit fiercer, but just a little push there you see on Richie Hogan, and he collides into Stephen O'Keefe. Stephen O'Keefe completely open, and nobody likes to see players being injured like that, but if you're on the field of play really, like, and as a forward, particularly if it's the beginning of the match, you see that as a little bit of a bonus. Free out for Waterford, but bravery from Stephen O'Keefe, but he's a very, very, very brave keeper anyway. But it just slows down the game and kills the momentum a little bit more.
Well, he's been one of the stars of Derek McGrath's team, a team that Derek created this year. And as you mentioned earlier, they've made great progress. This will be just their second defeat in 12 matches, and that's some record. Stephen O'Keefe all the way down as far as Stephen Bennett. Picked up by Richie Hogan, however. And like a conductor, just in charge of the orchestra, making sure that everybody plays as they're supposed to play. Colin Fennelly knows a tune or two. Well, that one doesn't reach TJ Reid. 2 points in the second half for TJ Reid, but he did the damage in the first half, getting a goal and 7, and keeping Kilkenny very firmly in touch all the way along. Shane Fives. Big, huge one, dropping down into the square once again. And once more, it's Paul Murphy. Indestructible. Clearance as far as Philip Mahoney, reaches up ahead of his opponent Ger Aylward that time. And then, as he was making a beeline towards the opposing goal, fouled by Aylward. Ger Aylward's been a player that we've seen quite a bit in the recent years. Great under-21 player, had a lot of injuries last year, didn't make the breakthrough then.
Yeah, and has really increased his fitness levels there. You know, he looks like a new player, very, very fresh, very enthusiastic. And again, he's just stuck with his player there. And Philip Manny could not release the ball to somebody in a better position, and they get a free now, which is just going to be a hit and hope, and you know, drop it into the square and hope for something from it. But I would have expected Maurice Shannon maybe to be in the edge of the square and somebody else to hit this one.
Well, it's a 6-point game as Morris takes it, and we're into 2 minutes of added time, and that's flicked wide, and it's going to be a puck out for Owen Murphy, and they can now prepare once again for another trip to the All-Ireland finals. 14th time in 17 years. Fans happy. Now they'll be looking forward to getting tickets and getting back here in early September. Who will it be against, Tip or Galway? That match, of course, live on the Sunday game next Sunday afternoon. Big one. Shane Fives back as far as Philip Mahoney, and further back as far as a recovered Stephen O'Keefe. Only 2 points between the teams and at the end of the first half. But Kilkenny have looked stronger throughout the second 35 minutes, 36 at this stage. Kevin Moran, great warrior that he is, wins that free, taken quickly down towards Maurice Shanahan, runs through his fingers, however, and this time picking it up is Shane Prendergast. Not over the sideline, but it touched a Waterford player last. So the final 30 seconds of this, Kilkenny have done exactly what they intended to do, and that is to reach this year's All-Ireland final. I'm sure they will say that they will have to up their performance. It's interesting, their subs list doesn't have an awful lot of experience. Included among the subs today, Brian Cody's son Diarmid, under-21 player. That's cut in by Killian Buckley towards Aylward. Shane Fives takes it instead, trying to get away and trying to maybe get the last score of this match. They'll be disappointed to have lost the semi-final, but they've had a great season. Michael Brick-Walsh, Noel Connors, big one. They'd look for a goal here if they can get it, but again that one has gone outside, and it's all over, and Kilkenny have beaten Waterford, and they take another step towards retaining the McCarthy Cup. It'll be their 9th appearance in the final in the last 10 years. Brian Cody, of course, firmly at the helm once again, congratulating Derek McGrath and the Waterford management team. It'll be the 14th time that Brian Cody as manager has led them to the final. Waterford's great year concludes at the penultimate stage. TJ Reid, a goal and 9 points to his credit. And this is how it's finished. Kilkenny 121, Waterford 18 points. Well, Donald, overall, how would you assess Kilkenny's performance this afternoon?
Well, I think they played like real champions. They had their match won, and they just made sure that they stayed in position the last 20 minutes. They worked the ball around, got a few vital scores, didn't overtax themselves, but I think that's what good teams and good players do. They worked the ball well, and I think just that Waterford system just ran out of steam a little bit, and they came up against a juggernaut. It would be the first time, Joe, that they would have met players of the calibre of the forwards of Kilkenny, who harry and hassle and put them under pressure. They weren't able to pick out the men up front, but you'd say that a very credible performance from Waterford. They won't be happy, obviously, when you're beaten, but they will see it as a great learning process for next year.
Stephen O'Keefe down there doesn't want to leave the field. Very, very disappointed, as you can imagine. That goal by TJ Reid coming after 17 minutes. At that stage, it gave Kilkenny a boost. It gave them a platform upon which they could build something. They came out strongly in the second half. There were times when you thought Waterford were going to close the gap, but there was always those 3 points, 2 to 3 points between the teams. And in the end, well, as we know, it was a comforting